everybody, C4 here. Welcome back. And it's almost over. We only have probably one more week of Eagles football left. And then this season from hell can be all done with as the Eagles lose 27-10 to the New York Giants. And I'm calm because I just had to go outside after this game. And, you know, it's 2024. Get on the diet. Right? Everyone's trying to get healthy. I'm trying to get healthier. But I had a different kind of salad just to try to process what I watched, how I feel about this team. And today's not going to be really a player grades because everyone gets an F on the Eagles sideline. You might be looking at this. If you didn't watch, you say, I'm going to see what C4 says about the Eagles. I didn't watch the Eagles game. Sucks though. I mean, who cares? C4 looked like a boring game, but Eagles rest their starters, content with the fact that Dallas is going to win the NFC East and you guys are locked into a matchup against the Bucs in the playoffs. Just rest your starters. Makes sense, right? You're going into New York. Has the worst field in professional sports. I don't know, as a fan, why we can't organize like a GoFundMe. All 32 teams, find a pyromaniac in your fan base. And in the offseason, while the stadium's empty, no one in there can get hurt, they just set fire to that field, melt that plastic, and force them to put in a grass field. Because literally all season, especially for the Philadelphia Eagles, we were looking. It's like, man, we got to handle business because we do not want our starters playing Week 18 at MetLife. That is just asking for injuries to happen. And oh, what happened? Huh? What happened? Oh, A.J. Brown, first catch of the game, goes down with a knee injury. Yep. What else happened? Eli Ricks, starting corner, went down with a groin injury. Sidney Brown, promising rookie safety, had that 99-yard pick six against the Cardinals last week. Got carted off with an injury. And then we had just all, other stuff. Jalen Hurts broke his finger. And it was, this game couldn't have blown back in the Philadelphia Eagles' faces anymore, right? And I don't get it. I personally, if I was head coach, I would have arrested everyone. I don't care. I would be like, if I was a head coach, I'd be like, we need to just rebuild our entire scheme and look like a brand new team in the first round of the playoffs. So this extra week off, literally on the sidelines, I'd have Jalen Hurts, I'd have DeAndre Swift, I'd have A.J. Brown, I'd have Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. I'd have pretty much everyone on the offensive line. Literally, they would just be getting an extra study session on this brand new scheme because what we're doing is not working, right? But we decided to play our starters, and I also kind of get that, right? Get a make right. You maybe don't play them the whole game, but you put the starters out there for the first half. Kind of treat it like a preseason game. Let's get like 2 or 3 touchdown drives and have some momentum. No! Our starters played the first half, and we were losing 24-0 at halftime with our starters in against the goddamn New York Giants. After last week's loss against the Arizona Cardinals, it's embarrassing. It is absolutely embarrassing. I made a tweet, and Twitter's just, I just fire off things in the moment. So I would say, generally speaking, my Twitter is more sarcastic than not. But I made a tweet like, this is the worst Eagles team I've ever seen in my 22 years as a fan. Due to the talent and how bad they're playing, right? Because I've endured the regimes, right? At the end of Andy Reid with Juan Castillo as DC, right? At the end of Chip Kelly and some of the worst Chip Kelly's year with like Billy Davis as the defensive coordinator and trading away Deshaun and LaShawn. That team. And at the end of Doug Peterson where, we clearly saw this is Howie Roseman's team by forcing them to bench Jalen Hurts for Carson Wentz and tank so we get Devontae Smith. Like, you take those final teams, last game of the season for the Andy era, the Chip era, and the Doug era. If they play this Eagles team, they're probably beating us. And those rosters don't have half the talent this roster has. So I think, honestly, pound for pound, understanding how good the roster is, this is the worst performing Eagles team in my lifetime. And I don't think that's reactionary. I don't think that's this team is terrible. Like, the Tampa Bay Bucs are excited. They get to play the Philadelphia Eagles in the first round of the playoffs. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? That tells me that what I said last week, and a refresher of what I said last week after another embarrassing loss against the Arizona Cardinals, is the title of my video was Fire Nick Sirianni, right? Fire. But the content and the context of that was come the exit interview time. Whenever Philadelphia's season comes to a close and Nick Sirianni goes and sits in an office with Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, I think they should ask him, what do you do? What do you do? What does Nick Sirianni do? What do you do to justify us not going out and getting a head coach that offers some schematic expertise, that offers some play calling expertise, that offers some development expertise? I'm not saying that the Philadelphia Eagles need to fire Nick Sirianni, and I'm not going to support this team. I'm going to shit on this team every day next season, that Nick Sirianni's here because they should fire him. I didn't say that. I didn't even mean that. My argument, and I guess to summarize right now, my thoughts on fire Nick Sirianni is if they fired him, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care. And this is a guy that's a year removed from a Super Bowl. This is a guy, if you look at his win-loss record since he's been here in Philadelphia, has one of the strongest win-loss records in the league. My feeling on firing or keeping Nick Sirianni is if they fire him, I'm cool with it. If they keep him and you give him another chance to hire a new OC and new DC, those are the parameters. You know, the same parameters we gave Doug Peterson, and he said no, and we fired him. If Nick Sirianni gets that opportunity, and it's, well, look at what he's done, we think we give him a shot here to try to right the ship with new OC and DC. I'm all right with that. But if they also decide to fire him, or he refuses, and he says, I'm sticking with Brian Johnson, I want Matt Patricia, and they fire him, I'm good with that. That is like my as level-headed take as I can have with this team going forward, as it relates to Nick Sirianni. But back to the other question, what does he do? What does he do? Right? We know what Jonathan Gannon does. He was DC, as much as a love-hate with Philadelphia and Jonathan Gannon, we still had the most sacks we ever had last year. He had the defense playing very well. And he went on, got a head coaching job. And he's done better than expected with the Arizona Cardinals. Jonathan Gannon was relatively good here in Philadelphia, went somewhere else, and is going to remain a head coach. He's not an instant one and done fire like Steve Wilkes was with the Cardinals. Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen called the plays, ran the offense here for Philadelphia last year with immense success. Brought us to the Super Bowl. Goes and gets a head coaching job in Indianapolis, and with a roster that, especially when Anthony Richardson went down, and Gardner Minshew's your quarterback, and with injuries revolving door with Jonathan Taylor, their best offensive player, he had them within one play of making the playoffs. And Shane Steichen certainly is going to be probably in the top 5 short list for Coach of the Year. He was good here in Philadelphia, went somewhere else, was good. What does Nick Sirianni do, right? Those are the three. Your OC, your DC, and your head coach. The OC and the DC and the head coach last year were like, oh, they're good. We went to a Super Bowl. But when you lose these two, right? These two are what we'll say, for lack of a video, we're now left with this for a head coach. We lost these two, and these two have gone on and still been pretty good. But now that this guy's remaining, still here in Philadelphia, this guy being Nick Sirianni, this is kind of what we're left with. And it feels like this is what we're left with. And it's not good. This one's not good. These two that left were good, got a head coaching job because they were good at their jobs, and they're still good. But this guy, what does this guy do? Okay? Now, Nick Sirianni got the head coaching job in Philadelphia because OC in Indy. And 4 or 5 weeks into his tenure here in Philadelphia, he demoted himself from play calling and gave it to Shane Steichen. So it's like, okay, Nick Sirianni's like, I'm not a good play caller. Okay. We don't have a scheme. Your scheme was kind of Steichen. And I guess your scheme is, and it's trolling, but even people are smarter than me that break down the X and O's. The Eagles' scheme is we just hope our good players, which is very good. Our roster is very good. There are 25 to 28 other teams in the NFL that would instantly switch the roster like Freaky Friday with the Philadelphia Eagles roster. We've won the best rosters in the NFL, even with the weaknesses at linebacker and in the secondary. We've won the best rosters in the NFL. Nick Sirianni's scheme is clearly just, I need my good players to make plays. Our good players are going to make more plays than other teams, and that's how we're going to win games. And part of this 11-5, we've had some impressive wins. But in those wins, it's not... I'll give credit to Sean Desai against Miami. His defense, that was outstanding. That was it, but that was still great. But for the most part, it's just been our good players making good plays is our scheme. And if that's your scheme, I'm going to double down on the fact that this is Howie Roseman's scheme. Because Nick Sirianni's scheme is hopefully Howie Roseman gives me a lot of talent. Because that's the only way I can kind of make this work. That's what I bring to the table. Is I could be out there, I could obviously fucking yell at people and yell at fans, But my scheme is good players. And if that's all you offer to a team, anyway, I can do that. Put me in a head coach. I at least fucking run a slant against a blitz. So, not only that, because it was a hot take, it got a little traction. Not one person answered my question of what does Nick Sirianni bring to this team. And the only people that were defending him were like, look at his record. We went to the Super Bowl. That doesn't answer my, what does he do? I don't know. I hate watching football. I literally get more enjoyment, like college football. Once that's gone, like, I don't know. Football sucks this year. Football sucks. It peaked after the Bills game in overtime. It's going to be ugly next week. Like, all Tampa Bay does is blitz. They blitz. They have creative blitzes. We already saw them. They're going to learn from... The Bucs are going to learn more from that matchup when we beat them early in the year than we are. And it's going to be ugly. Unless... I don't know. I don't see a way Philly wins with the way they're playing. Because we've had how many weeks now during this stretch where the media is getting pressed into the coaches, and we're getting the same feedback from Hurts and same responses from Hurts and Sirianni, and they're going to get it corrected, and we got to do better, we got to do this. And it's been literally the exact same fucking scheme and approach every single week. Insanity. Doing the same thing, expecting different results every week. That is what we're in. No matter the context of, surely that's a wake-up game. Surely letting Drew Lock go for 90 yards and it cost you the 1 seed. Momentum for the 1 seed. Surely not forcing the Cardinals punt once at home with the 1 seed and the NFC East on the line. Surely now getting embarrassed by the Giants with our starters in are going to be the wake-up call for this team to hit the reset button and make things simpler. And no, nothing, not one thing has changed. This is like, would the Panthers beat us next week? If we were playing the Carolina Panthers next week, I'll tell you one thing for fucking sure. If Philadelphia was playing the Carolina Panthers next week, if something tragic happened to the Bucs, and the only team that could make it to play in this playoff game, a lottery ticket, the Willy Wonka golden ticket, was the Carolina Panthers, the worst team in the NFL, if they had to play the Eagles next week, put it at the link too. Give us home field advantage. It's going to be a hard game. It is going to come down to the wire. Okay? That is how bad this team is right now. I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully, I'm about to go watch a good game between the Dolphins and Bills. Hopefully, that's just fun football, because this is terrible. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. I'll see you next week, and maybe I'll be even angrier. That'll be fun. Till then, it's Boise Forest. Peace. I love you. Have a good one. Go Birds.